Here's what's coming up on today's show.
That's one of the benefits of having worked with so many different people. I can help people, with the concerns that they have and concerns they haven't even thought of yet. And that comes with experience.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
And a fun fact of the week here, you're really going to get into this, especially as hot as it is in Arizona. 88% of American households have air conditioning, almost 90%, while only 20% of the people in Europe have air conditioning. Can you imagine living without air conditioning?
In Arizona, I think it would be tough. I mean, I don't know if that includes swamp coolers, because there's still people that have swamp coolers, which, obviously during monsoon season when it's raining, those don't work very well. So I feel bad for that situation. But I can tell you, my daughter just recently moved into the dorms at University of Montana, and she does not have air conditioning there. They have a heater, but no air conditioning. So,
well, I hope they've got a good heater for sure.
Yeah,
because it's going to get
coming
cold
up soon. Right. But there's no air conditioning in her room, which was interesting. But,
yeah. Kind of interesting. I don't think I could live without air conditioning either.
No, not in Arizona.
No way in the world.
In North Carolina either.
Well, let's spend just a moment here talking about why you do what you do. I know that you have a passion for helping people, but it's important for people out there to understand your passion for what you do. And today, let's talk about how you got started and why you're still doing it. Who were the influential people in your life when you were young who shaped the way that you view money and the way you look at wealth? What lessons did these folks teach you?
Well, I mean, I think we all probably learn from our parents, right?
Yeah.
Better or worse these days, I guess. And so my dad was, very smart with his money. He always lived below his means, which I learned from him. Always looked to save. And he, a big, not a fan at which we've talked about of using debt. I think when he bought his first house, I think he had a mortgage for a year and it killed him to pay interest.
Wow.
So he had it paid off in a year, which is very impressive. But doesn't pay interest. Pays off his credit card, all that sort of thing. But I learned that from him to try to always, save. Enjoy life today, but always save for later on. And I think that's important, finding that right balance.
That kind of knowledge really sticks with you through life, that's for sure. How did you end up in the financial business?
Great question. I was interested in stocks in high school. Economics in high school was one of my favorite classes. In fact, I'm an economics major. And so I've always was fascinated with the stock market and would play around back then, not with real money, but, just online and stuff like that, just looking at stocks and seeing how they did. And then in college, got more involved into it and interned for a brokerage firm in college. And, that was it. Once I graduated, I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And of course, having your own firm, I mean, I know that you love going to work and helping folks every day.
I do, and I enjoy working for myself more so than other people. But, you can't start off on your own right out of college. So I got some great experience, in college as an intern, as well as working for a couple different firms and banks until I opened my own firm. Since
you've been in the financial business, what people in the industry have been good influences on you, and what have you learned from them?
Great question. I've had several mentors. I think everybody has mentors. The biggest mentors in my career was somebody. I started out of college at Merrill Lynch, so one of the advisors there. I was in a mentorship program with him. Still friends with him today. He's no longer at Merrill Lynch either, but I learned the business from him, and I got to sit in on meetings. He would sit in on my meetings, and I got to learn from him how things were done. Obviously, the business has changed dramatically, so the way that he's doing it now and the way things exist today are totally different, but he gave me a great lessons on how to work with people and that sort of thing. And then I have a cousin that's also in the business who lives in another state, and he was another mentor of mine in this industry.
You're listening to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman. Again, if you want to get in touch with Mark and have a one-on-one conversation with him, it's not going to cost you anything. 520-333-7601. That's your number to call or text. getting back to the conversation, we're finding out about why Mark Silverman does what he does. It's a passion for him, as I mentioned earlier. And my next question here, Mark, what are your frustrations with the way that most people plan their retirement that you wish you could fix with a wave of a magic wand?
I think the fact that they don't plan.
Yeah.
People just, feel they hit a certain age and that, their friends around them are retiring and they're tired of working, and they're either eligible for a pension or Social Security or something like that, and they think they have enough money in the bank and they just retire, not realizing and not running the numbers and having projections done, realizing that there's still a lot of costs. And I think a lot of people don't realize, everybody's living longer. And so, if you do retire in your 60s, you may have a life expectancy into your 90s, and you may have a 30-year retirement, which is probably just as long as you had in your working years in some cases. And so you have to pay for things. And so, understanding what those costs are, whether you're going to be traveling, older, the older you get, and healthcare costs that aren't covered, there's just all sorts of things. So not planning at all, I'd say, is the biggest thing. People just kind of thinking that they hit an age and they're done working and they want to retire, and not doing their homework and having a professional run the numbers and guide them and look for, issues that they may have, because that's one of the benefits of having worked with so many different people. I can help people with the concerns that they have and concerns they haven't even thought of yet, and that comes with experience.
I think, one of the important things to remember is that there are folks listening to the show right now who may have done a really good job in the accumulation phase of their lives. They've done a good job saving and this sort of thing and getting to where they are. But the whole distribution phase, when you have to start taking that money out and using it to live, is completely different.
Yeah, and there's lots of different factors. You don't just pull it out of an account. There's tax consequences with different accounts. So it's understanding, when do you take Social Security? If you have a pension, when should you start it? How should you take it? Should you include your spouse or not? And which account should you draw from to live on? And how are those going to work? What are the tax implications from drawing from different accounts? Or should you take some from this account or some from this account? Roth convert. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle that most people aren't aware of. And just making sure that you have a plan and a strategy that's going to get you through the end of your life, so you don't have to go back to work or move in with your children or something like that.
What's the most gratifying thing about your job?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of things. I'd say the most is working with the people that we work with. We feel, they're lifelong relationships. A lot of clients become friends. And through that process, you see how they've done a great job of saving. They've worked hard in their careers, and they're at a point where they want to be done working, or at least slow down. And putting everything together and coming up with a strategy and a real plan on getting them to have the retirement that they want and that they deserve is probably the most gratifying, when clients come to you and say, hey, thank you for everything that you've done. We wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for you guiding us. Because, the hard part is saving, obviously, and some people do need help with that, and we do guide with that. But putting everything together and having a strategy is something that we can do, which a lot of people don't have the tools or the knowledge to do.
We always say that if you need help getting to and through retirement, then call Mark Silverman. But Mark, specifically, there are some people out there listening to the show today who may have already retired, and they did so without any kind of a plan, and they're doing exactly what you just talked about. It's not too late for them to reach out and get some help from you. And if somebody wants to call you and just have a conversation, how does that work?
So you'll give out the number, but it's just reaching out. You'll have a conversation with me. It's a 15 to 20-minute phone call. Christine will get you on my calendar, and we'll have a conversation, and then we can determine if it makes sense, if we're on the same page, to get together here in the office. But, we do have people that reach out that are recently retired or have been retired. We also have people that are, a few years from retirement, or maybe even a longer period from retirement. There's always an improvement that you can make. Some people need more changes than others as far as recommendations, but there's always something that we can tweak or make better and put you at ease. Because without a plan, you may be, retired thinking that you're okay, but always stressed about, is this trip costing us too much? Are we spending too much here? Are we in fear of running out of money? And so it's a big difference when you have a plan where we can actually run the numbers for you, so you can do the things that you want to do with confidence, knowing that you're going to be fine. And that's the power of working with a true certified financial planner.
You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601. Or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.